second part of our day. Thank you all for coming. I know I have a group of students that traveled in from Columbia, South Carolina, so large audience. Thank you. We definitely appreciate it. Again, this is day 2 of Behind the Music, and today, for the remainder of the day, we're going to hear from artists actually who have utilized hip-hop in order to fight against social justice, to promote politics, and have also been involved as activists in society. And so today we're going to introduce you to 4 hip-hop artists who are artists here, live here in Atlanta, and artists who are involved in various organizations and that have created songs to fight against instances of social justice. I know we mentioned before during my presentation, we talked about the song about Trayvon Martin, so we have one of the artists here who actually participated in that song, the song Make You Die, where it was Dead Prez. So we have Stic here, who was one member of Dead Prez, and it was Yassine Bey and Mike Flo. And so today I'm going to start by introducing our artists, and we will start from the end there with Mr. Red Fidel. And Red Fidel is an American rapper from Miami, Florida, currently lives here in Atlanta. It says this prolific MC is not only an artist, but a father and actor as well. His ability to pen songs that paint vivid pictures is what sets him apart as a writer. In 1997, he released the street-acclaimed EP, My Negativity, on Massive Dawn Records. Shortly after, he dropped the underground mixtape classic, Hidden in Plain View, which caught the attention of Goody Mob's own frontman, CeeLo Green. Thereafter, in 2001, he earned a feature on the song Micro Hard from CeeLo Green's first solo album entitled CeeLo Green's Perfect Imperfections. Following that, Red Fidel secured a song placement in the hit movie You Got Served, starring Omarion and Marcus Houston, and the song was entitled You Don't Know, and it featured the songbird Kia Star. The song went on to climb the charts in the UK, eventually debuting at #1 in Greece, and since then he's released the introspective mixtape The Color of Grey in 2009, and a year later he released 2 back-to-back mixtapes entitled Soul on Fire and Hippocalypse Now. The latter was hosted by DJ Scarface. In 2015, Red Fidel released another mixtape banger called No Warning Shot, which caught the attention of Roc Nation exec Lenny Santiago. This led to a meeting that confirmed Red Fidel as an artist to watch out for. Now he's back with his first full-length album entitled Metamorph, My Last Beginning. Please welcome Mr. Red Fidel. Okay. Next we have Stic, as he's known today. Okay. A member of the group Dead Prez. Stic is an internationally acclaimed hip-hop artist, songwriter, and producer, author, activist, and entrepreneur. After his wife helped him heal from a bout with gout in his early 20s by converting him to a plant-based lifestyle, Stic found a renewed sense of purpose that changed the course of his life. He then studied martial arts for over 10 years and today has come full circle as a passionate, holistic health and fitness advocate. Stic is also a certified long-distance running coach with the Road Runners Club of America, and he merged his passions for health, fitness, and hip-hop and created the groundbreaking Fit Hop album, The Workout, that debuted at #1 of iTunes fitness charts. Stic has received the Black Man's Holistic Health Award from the Asara Society, as well as the Betty Shabazz Award for Social Justice at the Apollo Theater. Stic enjoys family, fitness, reading, meditation, and staying creative and productive. He lives currently in Atlanta with his wife of 23 years and their 2 sons. Please welcome Stic. Okay, next we have Mr. Zayd Malik. And Zayd Malik is a part of the Outlaw RBG family and has studied under and toured with the founding members of both Tupac's Outlaws and Dead Prez. He is featured on multiple tracks with both groups, including Bring It Back with the Outlaws and the anthem RBG Till I Die with Stickman and Dead Prez. He is the godson of political prisoner Mutulu Shakur, and it is he who first started him in hip-hop when he was 17, with the project Dare to Struggle, which was co-produced by Zayd, which was a tribute album to Tupac from his father. Over the course of the last 20 years, Zayd has used his music for political campaigns, including a recent effort to raise awareness for political prisoners and prisoners of war, and has traveled around the world from Africa to the Caribbean to Cuba to spread this message. Zayd has served as a member of the Malcolm X grassroots movement here in Atlanta, Georgia. His music has served as a platform for educating both hip-hop listeners as well as hip-hop haters on the positive instruments of change that the art form can be. And more recently, Zayd appeared in the new Tupac film. All right, so please welcome Mr. Zayd Malik. And finally, we have our artist, Ife Jai. She is a hip-hop activist, scholar, and performer. She is the first lady of the RBG camp, and she represents for the ladies with her gangsta but feminine style to rap music. Originally from South Central LA, Ife has appeared on countless mixtapes and albums with artists such as Zayd Malik, Stic of Dead Prez, and Tahir RBG. As a hip-hop scholar, she has received her undergraduate and graduate degrees from Georgia State University with research emphasis on Africanism in hip-hop music and hip-hop music as a contemporary medium for activism. In fact, Ife was previously one of my students. Yes, I was on her master's committee. As a member of the Malcolm X grassroots movement, Ife continues to use the platform of hip-hop music to promote, resolve to current social issues, bring light to stigmas facing the Black community, and empower women to engage in activism and culture. And now Ife is going on to receive her PhD. She's just been accepted into a doctoral program at UCLA. Yes. So I will turn it over now to the artists, and we can start in the order that I read you. So, Red, if you want to begin.
Is there any particular thing that the direction you want us to go in?
No, just talk about your music, what you discussed in my class before, if you like, and how you use it as activism.
Okay, well, basically, just to reiterate what Dr. Bonnette said, my current album, Metamorph, it's just a play on the word metamorphosis, and I'm pretty sure that you all are aware of that as far as the word itself. So, as far as myself, I'm from Miami, Florida. I'm a quote-unquote, I fall in the category of what we call a conscious MC. And my music, I pretty much interlace it with a lot of spirituality, a lot of street savvy, a lot of experiences of my own coming up in Miami, Florida, basically from over the Carol City area. And I'm able to what I try to do is just combine the experiences in order to make it relative to the listener. Currently, I have a song called God Bless that's pretty much it's making noise right now in Florida. The title itself is kind of self-explanatory, God Bless. And I find that as a conscious MC in this era right now, it's the difficulty of getting music out on a broader basis, or I would just say a commercial platform. It's a little more difficult, but at the same time, when you're true to yourself and you're truly live true to what it is you believe in, then I think it makes the journey that much more fulfilling. As I said, it's kind of like to quote Talib Kweli's one of his albums, "A Beautiful Struggle." So I find it to be something that is non-compromising as far as to myself, my spirit, what it is I represent. And like everybody else on this panel, I'm pretty sure they can concur with, or they find parallel to some of the things I'm saying now. And that's pretty much it. I'll just start off with that and pass it on, and then we'll get more detail as we go on.
Man, I used to wake up in the morning, first thing, got a taste. Drunk out my mind on an everyday basis. Stayed throwing up Andres by the cases, smoking mad blunt, so much money that I wasted. Going through the stages, growing up a young black male trying to make it, caught up in the matrix. Was it lack of discipline or deep self-hatred? Suppose it could have been a form of self-medication. Stress on my mind, it was a way to escape it. Wash away the problems when I didn't want to face it. I told myself it was just recreation. I could stop anytime, G. It's not like I'm basic. But deep inside, I felt my health deteriorating. Gout in my leg, toothache so irritating. Wasting mad time, could have been paper chasing. Slipping on my pimping, catching all kind of cases. Learning the hard way. First-hand education. Had to give my body a break and make some changes. Had to get back on solid foundation. Tighten up my diet, workout, and meditation. It don't happen in a day, it takes patience. Still, every day it's a challenge, but I'ma make it. A soldier don't run from the struggle. We embrace it. Don't worry what nobody else thinks. That's liberation. So, that's what I do. I like to call that combination of hip hop and holistic well-being. I call it fit hop, you know. And I grew from, I don't know, y'all look like a little bit older than my son, so y'all might not even know about Prez albums and whatnot. But you know, for long years, you know, that's pretty much my focus has been, you know, working with my partner M1 doing Prez music and you know, banging on the system. You know, doing music about the realities of living in the black life, in the streets, what we up against. You know, the police, the schools, religion, everything. We banging on it. But what I had to realize, what made a shift for me, was that all my energy was like a fist. It was tight and tense, banging on what I'm against, right? And when I got sick with gout in my leg, it helped me open my hand a little bit and say, you don't have to just fight for what you against, you can fight for what you for, right? And so I was like, I'm for the well-being of my people, you know? I'm for the well-being of myself, I'm for the well-being of our community, our family. And so I shifted my focus, still a fight, but instead of banging against, I banged for. And so that's, you know, what RBG Fit Club, maybe we'll talk about that, but that's what our movement is focused on now, supporting our general struggle with positive things that we need to embrace. So, you know, that's how we use it in hip hop.
So I'm gonna grab the mic. I talk kind of low, but yeah. So my name is Zayd, Malik. I'm a hip hop artist, and our music is centered around, or my music is centered around personally making sure that political messages are related to folks that wouldn't necessarily hear them otherwise. So my music is for the folks that don't want to come to the marches, they don't want to come to the town hall, they don't want to come to the protests, they don't sometimes necessarily believe in those things, and that's fine, because I think it's important for everybody to, you know, find their own strategy for, especially our people, for our liberation. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important to bring new strategies to the table, and protesting and all those kinds of things that we see, or the norm of how we fight for our people aren't the only way. So I think it's important to realize that. I think my music is for those kinds of people, and just the music in and of itself is a protest in and of itself. That if you don't, you know, understand, you know, certain vocabulary words, or if you haven't read certain books that, you know, I've read, or the next person has read, or if you don't have certain degrees, then you might be able to put some of my music on and still be able to, you know, get some of those same, some of that same information, but still be able to bob your head to it, you know what I mean? Still be able to dance to it. And so I think that's what's missing in hip hop, just that balance. And so that's what I, you know, pride myself on doing, provide balance to hip hop and just to the game in general. And I take it to the extreme. So when we call our music revolutionary but gangster, which is a term coined by my brother right here, and you know, his homie, and my other big homie M1, we take that seriously to the point where we feel like the street culture is the most revolutionary culture, right? And we also feel like sometimes the talking heads don't represent us all the time. So a part of my music and a part of why I do what I do is to try to bring those two groups together. The talking heads, because I feel like it's important that we have people that speak for us, but also it's important that we have people on the ground level doing the action. And a lot of times the gang culture or the street culture are the only folks that have heart to make certain moves or heart to do certain things. So my music is designed quite literally to try to bring those two things together, those two worlds together, because that's the whole thing. It ain't, in my opinion, when we talk about conscious music, we use that word, but just to describe a particular thing, right? So even though, for the sake of conversation, we can say conscious music, and you know what I'm talking about, right? But I think in actuality, there is no conscious music. I think in actuality, we're all conscious at certain times and, to certain extents. So I think it's important that no matter what music you choose to listen to when you ride, that artist, is a real person, and that whatever he's talking about, even if it's looked at as something negative, comes from a real place. And so when you talk about conscious music or revolutionary music, you talk about people's lives and how those lives are expressed in music. But the only thing that's really missing in music is balance. We only hear one side of the story. And so it's our job as, quote unquote, I'll say quote unquote, conscious artists to make sure that, listeners see the other side. Listeners that love hip hop see that there's other hip hop out there to listen to that, can balance out the equation. Because really, I'm not the artist that, feel like I gotta have a problem with Gucci Mane. I feel like I gotta have a problem with Young Thug because of their content. I'm not mad at them. That's who they are. They wasn't raised like me. They might not have, like I said before, read the same books I read. They didn't come from where I came from. So all they can do is express their life and what, their level of intelligence is. And so for me, I was born this way. My godfather was Batu Shakur. I was born in an organization called the New African People's Organization. So certain things are all I know. So if I was to do something else, that would be me from it, right? And if Gucci Mane was to do something else like what I'm doing, that would be him from it. And so we just gotta realize that there's a place for a particular kind of music and a place for my particular kind of music. And really, they're all the same kind of music, just, they take rides at different times and we enjoy them at different times in our day. Whether, we at the party or we at home, chilling. When we wake up in the morning, we like a particular kind of music. And so that's what we gotta understand. There's different kinds of music for different things. And we definitely can't bash each other for the different kinds of music that we like.
How y'all doing? All right. Before I get started, make sure my mouth ain't all cotton mouthy, okay? All right, so my name is Ife Jai, and I appreciate the introduction, okay? Dr. Bonnette single-handedly almost got me out of grad school, so I'm very grateful to be here to kind of show some reciprocity for her. If I had to describe my music, I would say that there are several things I think that I hear when I make the music, and I hope that it's articulated when people listen to it. But one of the main things I think that the message that we try to articulate, and I personally try to articulate, is free the land. Okay, free the land is a cry, a war call, for, if you will, that we use in the Malcolm X grassroots movement. And it basically is describing land that we've identified in the United States, the southern states, Atlanta, obviously being a city in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Louisiana. We identified that these particular states are pieces of our history that we should have claim to, okay? And if there was a conversation about nation building and nationality, that the one element that we are missing as a community is land, okay? So we identified that the South is what we call New Africa, okay, or Africa here in the United States. And because of that, we use the phrase free the land, right? So if y'all ever see me or see Z or see anybody else from the Malcolm X grassroots movement in the community, and we call out free the land, we want you to respond back to us, free the land, okay? And so my music somehow, I guess in a way, embodies what that identity would even look like, of being a African person with a sense of nationality. What does that even look like? So one of the things that I say in my music is don't be scared to be African. Don't be scared to be African, I try to embody that because a lot of times, and Umar Johnson was just talking about this on, was it Roland Martin or the Breakfast Club, that people, they love not being African. You know what I mean? They'll defend white supremacy. They'll defend everything else because to be African is so stereotypical, negative and bad, okay? So a part of my music is also to not just embrace the identity of nationality, but also to accept what is yours, that you are African and to be proud of that, okay? And then lastly, I would say that if I dare say, is that I tend to think of myself as a real MC, so I just like to have a good time, right? I like to have just a spirit of just freedom and just joy and love and just, that type of deal, right? So I like to conjure that. And I think that there's a fine balance between conscious music being, you know, serious and having a purpose and having a political purpose. And that's fine, right? That's a part of what the beauty of hip hop has allowed us the vehicle to communicate. But then there's this other element of just, let's just have a good time. You know what I'm saying? So I dare say that I try to embody, you know, conscious music that it feels good to our soul, but we can still have a good time in doing it. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with, you know, I'm getting ready to move back to California, so it's legal out there. So ain't nothing wrong with smoking a little weed every now and again, or, you know, have a little drink. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to do that and not feel contradicted, like I'm not a political activist anymore, or I'm not a revolutionary because, you know, I every now and again I do want to turn on Gucci Man, you know what I'm saying, and just jam or whatever to the club, or go to the club and have a good time. So I try to balance that as well. You know, the pleasure of just being African, of being free, of just enjoying who we are and just enjoying the spirit of music, and obviously having some sense of responsibility to communicate a message of consciousness, of nationhood, of nation building. Yeah, that's it.
So now this time we're opening it up for questions. If you have any questions for the artists, panelists.
Don't be scared, don't be scared, don't be scared.
Yes.
You know, because I listened to it, and, you know, same way as I get drugs before we go. But, you know, after a while, I need some music to motivate me in the morning. You know, I think I got all the Dead Prez albums, but, you know, they motivate me. I'm an educator, I'm from Atlanta, so things that in Atlanta or have happened in Atlanta, I can understand. But the music now isn't fulfilling. So I listen to Tupac, Goody Mob, Outkast, and Dead Prez, and it just cycles. It just cycles. Like everybody else, they're one-hit wonders, and it's good for a second, or as we know, the beat catches you, and you just vibe it, but the message isn't the same. So, you know, I guess, man, can we get some?
Man, thank you for even putting us in that category of Pac and Goody Mob and all that. Actually, we just had a conversation about a project that I guess I don't want to really put no details out because again, it was solidified.
But it's coming.
Yeah, it's been a minute, you know what I mean? And just living life, it take a while. You know, I feel like some of the things that are becoming more popular, for lack of a better word now, you know, we've been on that so long, you know what I mean? And just saying the same thing over and over, it sometimes, for me at least, as an artist, it kind of, you just gotta, you know, have a season of silence and observing and seeing what could you bring of value to the conversation instead of just talking, just be saying the same thing over and over and over, you know what I mean? But I'm proud of the moment that we in, you know what I mean? I think a lot of artists are realizing, all the way up to Jay-Z, you know what I mean, in terms of realizing that no matter how far you get in fame or money or whatever, our reality as a community, you know, is still what it is, you know what I'm saying? And so I want to feel like we've had some impact in the game, you know what I mean, with what we've done. So, you know, but there'll never be another Let's Get Free though. You know what I mean? Because that was that time and sound and moment, you know what I mean? So artists have to find a voice in every space, you know what I mean? So hopefully we'll hit something that people can relate to now, you know?
Yes.
Being that you're from Miami, and this being the South is known for bass music. What allowed you to go in a whole nother direction?
That's a good question.
But Miami is the South as well, too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, you know,
That's a real good question. And funny, growing up in Miami, that always been like a dichotomy. Granted, I did grow up in bass music, but I think that, and I want to piggyback off of Zayd, I came up too under a family structure that was more black liberated, and it was the instructions and the guys that I had in my life. They kind of molded me, even when I was in the street and I was doing my thing. You stand on principles, and in formidable years, a lot of us instilled in you, and them things take root in your spirit and your soul. So I guess I reached a point in my life where a lot of the lessons started to come forthright in my mind and my thinking, my intelligence, and it it took a shift for me. Everything has a shift, everything has vibration, so the vibration just was different for me, and then I started seeing a lot of people around me, and what we was doing in our culture just wasn't happening no more. So granted, I had some good people around me that just kept feeding what was already in my spirit, and it just was inevitable. This is who I am. You know, again, I'm piggybacking off of the brother. Sometimes you can't walk away from that which is you. You know, so that's pretty much happened. It didn't matter the region I was in. It just manifested itself. And I always was attracted to lyrical MCs. Even though I was from Miami, I still listen to the Big Daddy Kanes. I still listen to the Rakims. I still listen to quote unquote what was considered up northern MCs, because I like the lyrical dexterity, I like the lyricism, I like the wordplay, and then at the top of that, at the end of the day, I was a poet, so you know you can't get away from that what you are. So it just really worked itself out. Miami was just a place that I was born in, you know. Let's just say, for instance, quote unquote, not to get too biblical, we know Christ born in one place, but he taught in another place. So sometimes where you from don't accept you for what you feed them. You know, you got to go somewhere else and kind of disseminate the food, and hopefully they come 360 back around. So now it's ironic that my music taking off in Miami, a place that I had to actually leave because they wasn't ready for the times. They wasn't ready for what was coming. So now everything now is progress and what's going on. So, but that was a good question, brother. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
This is for all of you. How do you integrate your identity, your own identity, through your music?
Who is for me?
For all.
Oh.
Well, I'll go. As a woman, I can't escape my femininity. Okay, so like, how do I express that through my music? Lyric choices, you know, focal points. If I'm going to have a character in a story, it'll be a female character, you know what I mean? Female references, you know, black girl magic, y'all know the buzzwords now, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of vibe definitely translates, you know, obviously to the listener, hopefully that, you know, the feminine aspect, we can't run away from it. But then, you know, and I like it in the description, it's like this feminine but gangster style, you know, so there's this also, you know, very, oh yeah, I'll slap you if I need to type energy as well, you know, and so some of that, you know, translates through imagery. I love hip hop. Obviously, I've done research on it. It's a very big passion of mine, not just to participate in it, but just the whole culture and the revolutionary act of hip hop in itself, because it's so inclusive. You know what I mean? So the religious connections that I'll make through the music, you know, come through as kind of like the feminine that way. You know, and then obviously, like I said before, just imagery and sound and references, and you know, and some of that also is the interaction with the audience as well. You know, I think that as MCs, there's responsibility to like engage everybody. You know, and sometimes obviously your personality comes through to that as well. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's for me. It comes out everywhere. Everything I do.
Let me get some clarity on. So you pretty much saying like how do we express our consciousness, or
How do you integrate your identity?
like our African identity, how to remain African within hip hop, pretty much?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I'm African and I'm in hip hop. You know, it's like I think like and not even to down your question in any way, because I think it's a good question, because it raises the thought that how we express ourselves as Africans is so diverse, especially just our people. We're a very diverse people. We have so many different styles, and so many ways of getting down how we do what we do. So just, particular ways I do it, like, I like chains and I like gold and whatnot. I like diamonds. So I got a little chain, right? And it got some diamonds on it. It ain't nothing much, but it got an African pharaoh on it. You feel me? So I'm doing what I do, but within the framework of what might be considered hip hop, right? Or I got this rag on my head, right? And you might have seen, a couple gangbangers with some rags on their head or whatnot, or you might have seen Tupac rock his rag like this, right? And so we know where it come from. We know all those things, are connected to hip hop culture, right? But mine happens to be red, black, and green. And so now I'm expressing my Africanness, if you will, in hip hop, right? And so, I always try to wear red, black, and green. I look for the freshest red, black, and green clothes I could wear. I got some Gucci frames because they red, black, and green. I'm always on the lookout for stuff that's red, black, and green, that's my style, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, I like fresh stuff. I like stuff that looks tight. So I'm not necessarily the dashiki wearer, but I got one that's fresh and it fit me right, I'm not necessarily I do what I do, but, I'm African in hip hop, so I don't think that, those two things have to be, separated.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, to add on to that, and I love y'all. For real, man. This is my family for life, inspiration all the time. Just being myself. That's the bottom line. Like, I think, I can't speak for all artists, but I think one of the things about being an artist is that you create to express and kind of find yourself at the same time. Like it's an ongoing process. And even what it means to be an African, like bro was saying, is an interesting journey. Because we even have notions of what that means based off all our conditioning, or based on whatever the most powerful speech you just heard. You know what I mean? And we are people, we are very unique in that we are people who didn't always have like a sense of identity. You know what I mean? We kind of got it stripped in our history. So coming back to find what that means for yourself, is definitely a theme in my work. You know what I mean? And it's weird. It's like I think when you first recognize, like my family wasn't like politically conscious or in that way. So I didn't have that in my household like that. So when you first come into that information, that perspective, it's fits up, black leather, whoopie whoop, you know what I mean? And because it's trying to fill that void, you know what I mean? And so all of this emotion and energy and anger and frustration that you just see, just opening your eyes, might show up like our heroes. You might be like, I'm only dressing like the Panthers or whatever it might be. And for you, that becomes like your way to express identity. But I think over time, that may continue for you, or you may realize, oh, okay, that's my Ogun. You know what I mean? But, there's, like she was saying, what about, Abatala? There's different aspects, meaning just different sides of your expression. That is just as much African, of course, but it play a different role in the whole. So I think I've come to the view that being African is the essence of being. Before you put a form on it, before you say it's this or that, the African part of you is before that. You know what I mean? And it's what allows you to become Ogun or Batala or Oya or anything else, is because we are African. So we formless, we infinite. And I try to reflect that in the music.
All right. Mr. Dingle, before I get your question, let me add something to that so we can get a little bit more clarification, I think, from what the young woman was asking. But I'll ask you to talk more about, well, first of all, I want to hear some more information about red, black, and green. You keep saying it, you're saying RBG, but I know my students better know, but some people may not know what RBG means, right? And what Red, Black, and Green stands for and where it's coming from. So can you give us a little bit more information on that? And you also talked in the beginning about, you said Gucci Mane cannot be a Zayd, and Zayd cannot be a Gucci Mane because you have different identities and different life experiences. And I think that's where the students are bringing that in. So how do you incorporate, if you can talk some about how do you incorporate specifically your life experiences, even when you're thinking about your lyrics and what you're writing and what you're saying. And for you as well, Stic, you talked about the gout. So, talk more about the workout album and how you incorporate exactly what you are experiencing now. Even when you're thinking about your lyrics, even when you're thinking about where you're going to perform. Ife, you was talking about Malcolm X Grassroots. When you're thinking about songs and things of that nature, how do you incorporate those aspects of your identity within your music? And the same for you, Red, as well.
Well, Red, Black, and Green stands for Red, Black, and Green. RBG. Hold on. Excuse me for a minute. RBG stands for Red, Black, and Green.
Yes.
All right. The colors come from Marcus Garvey, who put the flag together to give black folks a national identity apart from the American identity. Because he and I believe that we are a nation within America, apart from America. We just happen to be here, right? And so he felt like, any nation has a flag, and that flag color should reflect that nation or the people in that nation. So the red is for the blood of our people. The black is for our ancestors, our black ancestors, our ancestry. And the green is for land, because any nation has land. You can't be a nation or a people without land. He chose those colors because most of the countries in Africa, the flags have some variation of those colors. So just to kind of simplify it, since you really couldn't say, because of the Ma'afa or the slave trade, who was who and where who came from, just to kind of, put us all in the same boat. He just said, okay, well, red, black, and green, since most countries is red, black, and green in Africa, red, black, and green will be our flag here. That's where the colors came from. And then my brother took it even further and just killed it and made it something that really, I think it was a phenomenon that, now that I'm thinking about it, really affected hip hop, because when they made it mean something separate from the political, not made it mean something separate from the political, but when they made it cool, when they made it just letters, you know what I'm saying? When they made it RBG and then they made this rag with it, you know what I mean? It killed the game. It made people want to know what consciousness was. It made people ask questions about who Marcus Garvey was. Why y'all doing it like this? We doing it like this because of this. So it just opened up a whole framework. It opened up a whole genre of music. Literally, bro. Like it's a whole about 1,000 cats right now talking about they RBG genre music. And really it comes from this guy right here. Like from their first album, the way that they did it, really. Like you hear the formula and the blueprint in all these cats' music that call themselves quote unquote RBG artists. What they're doing is trying to add a street element to a conscious and political idea. And that's really a formula. And my bro told me before, he could, I'm talking, what I'm saying, about him really, but he could correct me if I'm wrong at any point, of course. But I think one time he even told me that he felt like Tupac was kind of one of the first RBG artists, or that kind of, gave them that idea. So, when we talk about RBG artists, kind of to another point that we talked about earlier, as far as, how we express our happiness in hip hop, or, Tupac was considered by my brother an RBG artist, right? But, to some, just considered just a street cat or a thug or, just a gangster or whatnot. What does that say right there, right? So, that's what RBG is, and let me see, did I miss anything? I just passed it on. Oh.
I have a question. How do you think your music connects to the younger generation? Because I know that, at least for a lot of my students, not a lot of people listen to like conscious music like that unless they're like J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar or like some of the mainstream artists. So how do you connect to them, or what type of responses were you getting from the younger generation?
I think I think that me personally, it took me time to be able to, see, when I first started rapping, I was like all the other rappers. You know, I rapped about just the, you know, average stuff, you know, the club and street stuff and, you know, all the regular stuff. And then so it took me time to kind of get into my consciousness. I took a trip to Cuba, long story short, and that kind of changed my consciousness. So when I came back, my music was a little different, but it still wasn't, you know, relative to everybody, so to speak, you know what I mean? So it took me time to be able to do that, to find out rhyme schemes, adopt flows and patterns. Always, especially as quote-unquote conscious artists, you ain't got time to pick a okay beat or a good beat. You got to be that thing. You got to be like that, the flame, because you already got one strike against you because folks just ain't used to hearing what you got to say or you saying anything for that matter on the track. So, you know, you just got to, you know, that's one way I do that. I try to make sure the beat is great, not good beats, but great beats. You know, that's been my focus as of late. Great beats, similar patterns and rhyme schemes. Because a lot of times, especially now, folks is not even listening to the words. So for me, that kind of makes it easy. You see what I'm saying? But now, yeah, they're not even, so, you know, for me, that makes it easy. So if I could just hide what I'm saying in a rhyme scheme that's going to make you bob your head anyway, you know, by maybe the third or fourth time you take it home, you know, before you know it, you're revolutionary. You don't even know how it happened. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole code. You know what I'm saying?
What he touching on too is awesome because it's techniques. Like what you're asking is how can we be effective? You know, when we are effective in not just reaching the youth, but people in general. Like, you know, as MCs, that's our job. And you can have a million excuses, but if people ain't responding to what you're doing, you ain't MCing. You know what I mean? So, it's funny. I've been working on this short book from a book I was inspired. Any of y'all ever read or heard of a book called The Art of War? Right, Sun Tzu. Right. If you haven't, get a copy. But that book has been in my life since young times, and certain OGs gave me that book, and we was doing street shit, we studying it, we was doing politics, we studying it, and it's just a great book about tactical movement, right? So I had this idea a few years ago to look back on what made Prez have an impact, you know, in the mainstream in our era, right? And just reflect on how we was thinking, what was our tactics and tools, and what made it work. And so we boiled it down. I boiled it down to about 5 key things, you know, that I thought could be a blueprint to other artists that want to make an impact, you know what I mean, but are doing revolutionary material. So one of them is what we call the takeover. So that was been so effective for us. That's like Tyson when he hits you low and then he hit you with the uppercut and he do it every time. That for us, that was you know, the kid needed in the chin, right? So for us, it was what we call a takeover. So whatever's going on the radio, whatever's popping, we get that instrument, right? Give me that, right? And then we show you what it would sound like if you was really talking about something, right? Or if it was relevant. I'm just saying that, you know. But, you know, you put your perspective on it, right? Now it's like hijacking a train. The train already going where it's going. And instead of using all your energy to build a train and build a track, you just hijack their train. And you get what you're going, you know, more effective. So that's a powerful tool that we've been using, and that was our theme for our mixtape. Was just like, give me whatever's hot, and we're gonna put our perspective on it. So any artist in any era with something to say can do that. You know what I mean? And get heard simply because, you know, you got a platform that's already going where you're going. You know, and you know, I won't share all of them, but that's a tactic. And the book I'm working on is to really try to arm artists with simple tactics that work. You know what I mean?
So I need that.
All right, Dr. Favors has a question?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say enough respect to all the artists on the panel. My question is for Stic, man. Stic, first of all, I want to say thank you, man. You know, Dead Prez, Let's Get Free, That album was a soundtrack to my graduate school years, and it got me through and informed me in so many ways. And y'all are really sitting for a hip hop legend, and I want y'all to understand that and embrace that. So, my question for you, Stic, is this: I want you to talk about the shift in the mainstream. I'm an old head, and I grew up in an era where X-Clan was accessible. Public Enemy, KRS-One, Poor Righteous Teachers was accessible. And particularly, you just mentioned this issue of the takeover. In the era that I grew up, there was no takeover. Hip-hop consciousness in hip-hop was readily accessible, and cats did it and embraced it. And I wonder if you could talk about the shift, because Let's Get Free kind of represents one of the last albums in that 2000 era where consciousness was something that, was promoted. It's something that, cats listen and check for. So I wonder if you could identify what that shift was in the mainstream and how we got to this point where you got to trick people to listen to conscious hip hop. That's just not the era that I grew up in, and I wonder if you could speak to that.
Right on, man. Real quick, the climate that we came out in was not a quote-unquote popular conscious era. You know what I mean? When we came out, Puff was at the top of the shiny suit game. You know what I mean? And it was, you know what I mean? It's all in the video. Don't disrespect the Puff. But what I mean is that era, it was definitely not a time where, an album like Let's Get Free was like everywhere. Like Walmart and Target and all that on a major level. That was unheard of since PE. You know what I mean? And in fact, a lot of the artists that we met, like Fat Joe and different artists in working on our album, was telling us, y'all committing suicide. You know what I mean? It was like, this, what y'all trying to talk about is not going nowhere. It's going to break, right? So the shift is another principle happens to be in the Art of War book, is being the change, right? That's principle 2. You gotta be the change you wanna see, right? So we didn't look for it to be popular or wait on somebody else to make the lane. We say, we have to become what we see as missing. You know what I'm saying? And so shifts, to me, that's how real shifts happen. You know what I mean? It's that path that ain't there, but you see it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's all we wanted to do was take our influences. We was influenced by, how many of y'all heard of Mobb Deep? If you haven't, go get the Infamous album, man. But they was a big influence in the articulation of the street life for us. And then, Wu-Tang, was just ghetto wildness, you know what I mean? But it was so artistic at the same time. So it was so many things that we saw. Nobody was a Wu-Tang. There's no other Wu-Tang. There's no other Mobb Deep. And hip hop in the era you're talking about was about originality. So being the change is the shift. And if we want to see a change now, you got to do it.
All right. Mr. Dingo had a question?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all asked it while I was gone, but I was going to ask, she kind of touched on it a little bit, maybe. But at 16 and 17 years old, where were you all at? And were you always in a positive state of mind of using your art to inspire change? And if not, at what point did you, wake up and say, you know what, I need to be more socially involved as it pertains to my art? As a young person.
Okay, so that's a good question. I like that question, right? Because at 16 and 17, are you even thinking about that? You know what I mean? Are you identifying yourself as an artist with that responsibility even? But I'll say at 16 and 17, for me, growing up in South Central in LA, you know what I mean? There was a clear consciousness of celebrating Kwanzaa, of me being named with an African name, of being raised in a certain type of environment, certain type of family. I remember going on Western and 54th to the US Center. Maulana Kringa, I don't know, are you guys familiar with Kwanzaa? Yeah. So the guy who created Kwanzaa, Dr. Maulana Kringa, he had a center initially in LA. The United Slaves was the organization that he was a part of, but it was called the US Center. But I remember that was a part of my experience growing up in the hood. I remember Maulana and his wives coming to Crenshaw High School teaching Swahili classes. You know what I'm saying? So a part of that was just streamlined and just identity. You know, what I will say though, at 16 and 17, and I don't know how the rest of the panel feels, but I knew that I was different at 16 and 17. I knew that I had a certain level of, y'all don't know that this is going on, but somebody has told me that this is happening. You know what I mean? And whether that's, like I remember seeing the riots, the LA riots, and I remember seeing the National Guards on top of the Slauson swap meet with the big guns and everything. You know, I was able to get somebody to translate what was happening for me. So I knew Rodney King, I knew racism, I knew what was happening. Some of my peers weren't necessarily being, they weren't ignorant to what was happening, but they weren't getting the same kind of like rhetoric, the message, you know what I mean? The explanation that I was getting. You know, so I think at an early age, I was conscious that I was different. And then I think once I realized that people would listen to me, I did accept very early that I had a responsibility, that I couldn't just say anything. I couldn't just say anything. You know what I mean? So so to answer your question, I was conscious at 16 and 17 that there was something else going on. And even though I wasn't fully matured as an artist, and I still don't think that I am, there was a decision where I said, I'm gonna make sure that if I open my mouth, I'm gonna have something for real to say. Yeah.
I think for me, I wasn't always a conscious. I think I said earlier that when I first started, I was, I would say an average rapper, so to speak. I took a trip to Cuba, and that changed the way I rap. When I went out there, I was inundated with just revolutionary culture, like how you see street culture and I guess, hip hop culture out here, or just culture in general out here. Well, you go out there, it's just completely different in Cuba. It's a revolutionary culture. It's like revolution, and being a revolutionary is what's up. It's like really cool. As cool as being a gangbanger or, a rap superstar. You know what I'm saying? The conscious folks out there is what's up. That's what I saw. That's what I soaked up. So when I went out there, it was actually the first time I met Prez, Stic, and M1. My auntie took me up, and I remember, like it was yesterday, she taking me upstairs. She like, all right, man, don't be out here getting in no trouble. Don't be out here smoking weed. As soon as I walk in the room, so you know what I'm saying. So she dropped me off, and but yeah, that was just a funny side note. But that's how I kind of came into consciousness, just being there and seeing. I was like, wow, what if I could like establish this kind of culture at home, or what if I could just bring this feeling, or just encapsulate this feeling in my music back home and try to, just make people back home feel what I'm feeling right now, because I almost got lost in it, you know what I mean? It was like that. And so when I came back, my music changed. I think when I was out there, it hadn't changed yet, you know what I mean? So when I so I was there, and I was up there, man, I was on some gangster shit, bro, in Cuba. And got on stage, spit my ignorant little shit. And it was a learning experience. I got on stage, I saw Shakur was there, and she listened to it. She was like, I had a song called Guns N' Roses, and one of the lyrics said, Guns N' Roses, something sexy about a bitch with a gun. And that was my lyrics back then, and that's what I said on stage. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. Like, I was cool, but everybody else wasn't cool at all. But she wasn't tripping though, like, she was like, so I guess I'm just a bitch with a gun. But she meant it like, I'm strapped up too, like, you feel what I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? That's how she
You
meant
feel
it,
what
right?
I'm trying to say.
So, but like I said, that's how I came into consciousness at a young age. But like, previous to that trip, I was different. And then after that, just seeing how it could be cool, seeing that, I was the outsider, not trying to be revolutionary in that, place. I was the outsider, you know what I mean? And so that changed, and that made my music
do. 15, 16 years old, Miami, Florida. A lot of dope culture. I don't know if you know about Cocaine Cowboys, all that. I come up through all that. It's funny listening to Zayd talk about Cuba, because I'm actually Cuban. I'm of Cuban descent, so my family is Cuban and Bahamian. So growing up in Miami, I had the influences of island life. So the food was different and the culture was different. Being of that, with that being said, I would say that the spiritual aspect of my life was much different, and I didn't know that till I started going to like friends' homes and spending the night, and I realized that ain't how we eat, that ain't what we do. I was already aware of let's just say deities that were not known to my friends. I heard the brother speak of it when he spoke of Obatala and Oya and all that was regular talk for me or in my family. But even though I was running wild, it just was nothing that I really embraced. So by the time I got 15, 16, and then I had an older brother who got locked up. He did a long little bid. He used to always send me notes from jail. It seemed like when niggas in jail, they become highly enlightened. So, he was like, he'll send me all these notes, and he'll be like, Zulu, you can't be doing such and such. They used to call me Zulu. He knew how I was getting down out there at the time. And it just kind of became, it really put the seeds in me. And I think what really started to take precedence on top of my culture, at that time, we had like the Muslims started coming to Miami. We had this one little set of Muslims. They call it Tensikidar. They was under the leadership of Imam Isa, who many would know as Malik York. And then we had the Nation of Islam. We had all kind of different influences that was actually starting to come into the community. And the pamphlets and the brothers on the block just started really, start sharing jewels and dropping seeds. And it all just kind of was inevitable, and it played a part. And after a while, I noticed my music started changing. I just wanted more. I became an early father. I had a kid at an early age, and then that kind of took a shift in my mentality as far as how I wanted to raise my seed. If I wanted my seed to come up to be a fruitful tree or to be one of those leafless trees that's out here. So all that became to be a very important thing in my mindset. So it's kind of how I made that shift, and I never looked back since. And as far as making my music, something I want to say is that I don't really go into my music how I'm gonna make it appeal to the younger generation. And there's nothing against the younger generation. I just don't have time to fight that fight. I do what I feel, and I follow spirit, I follow what comes out. And because at the time when I was 15, 16, which is different for you all, our parents had their own music. That was their music. They listened to their music, we listened to our music. I feel now that there's no line in the sand. It's like you see grown-ups listen to these kids' music. So you see now to where you don't know who's grown and who's, it's too many kids their own parent. And I just want to be like my parents, like I have my music, my children have their music. Now we can respect each other's music, but there's a line that has to be drawn, and I just think that it's out of control, just personally to me, So I don't go into trying to make my music appeal to those who probably are not on that level. I'm not going to give you a Whopper when your mouth is not big enough to even swallow a cheeseburger. I'm just not going to do that. So it's my approach to it. So that's just how I look at it.
Right here, the young lady in the back, in the gray shirt. Yes, sir.
So I just want to say, first and foremost, I appreciate the panel. I listen to you guys, and it's a great opportunity for some of our students to be in us present. We do deal with 9th through 12th graders. These are our kids, as we say. One thing that we wanted to provide for them this summer was a hip-hop course. Unfortunately, the teacher was not available, due prior. So this is our opportunity of giving them a little taste of hip-hop and put a little analyzation of hip-hop. So while they're in here, one of the things I kind of want to address is they had a business course, and in that business course they had to produce a business, of course. And some of those businesses, we had 2 young ladies that are going to be going back to the high schools to create a group for young black girls, inspired by Black Girl Magic. I had another group who wanted to start a hip-hop clothing line. So kind of, if you will, talk about how they can use hip-hop culture, their culture as a means to support themselves and to connect other teenagers with each other on their campuses, as well as once they go to college, how they can use hip-hop as a means to serve their communities once they get there.
Okay, can I say something?
Yes.
Okay, so shouts out to all the high school students that's in the building. I'm very glad that y'all are even here. I myself just finished the school year teaching 10th grade, so, you know, congratulations to everybody who's getting ready to go to another grade next year and all that good stuff. But one thing I do want to say, and this is what I would tell my students if y'all was in my classroom, y'all are hip-hop. Hip-hop is just like a label for energy, for connectedness, for your, like what Red Fidel said, just the interaction with Orisha, with gods, with whatever it is. Matter of fact, y'all saw the Get Down, the Netflix Netflix show? Okay, there's a scene in there where the guys are basically going to Africa Bambaataa, and they're trying to describe why they need Africa Bambaataa's help to get rid of these guys that are on their back, right? But African Bambaataa does this really cool breakdown where he basically describes like the Force. Y'all familiar with Star Wars as well, right? So they use this whole kind of really cool monologue to describe how hip hop is basically the Force, okay? And so as young people, once you recognize that you are the Force, that you can tap into the Force by way of meditation, by way of going to the water, by way of prayer or whatever it is, music, whatever your connected is that you are that Force, okay? And that once you embody that, whatever comes out of that will be hip hop, okay? So if you do a lipstick line or clothes, or you want to do lock jewelry, or, you know, whatever it is that's you are hip hop. And that obviously embodies who we are as African people. It's all the same joint, okay? So don't let the term, you know, fool you. Don't let the term fool you. It'll be hip-hop this era, but eras ago it might have been bebop, and it might have been blues, and it might have been jazz, and it might have been something else, you know? But for our era, you guys are the Force. You know, the way that you rock your clothes, the way that you refuse to pull your pants up, okay? All of that is good energy, that is that resistance energy, and that's what hip-hop is. Hip-hop was birthed out of resistance, out of survival, out of just the connectedness of community and culture, okay? So as long as you embody that, y'all go for it, and you'll be surprised how society will catch up to you, okay? So if you dare to struggle, like we say, this is what one of the phrases that we get from Baba Matul Shakur, dare to struggle. Okay, dare to struggle, dare to be the change, dare to be the different person, dare to be that. And in daring to do that, you're daring to win. You might actually accomplish something. It might actually work. Okay, so yeah, that's my message to y'all. That's my message. Be you. Be you. Be you.
Sure. To add on to that, that's beautiful, man. How Ife just made the connection to spirit. You know what I mean? Everything we do is spirit. And we all have different definitions of that or whatever, but I don't mean it in like a religious kind of way necessarily, but spirit in your essence. Spirit means inspiration. You know what I mean? Like what comes through you. You know what I mean? Your spirit is what allows it to come, because everything else blocks it. You know what I'm saying? So the term hip hop, hip, what does it mean to be hip to something? You know what I mean? To be aware, right? To be conscious of something, you know? And what is hop, you know, is the move up and over. You know what I mean? So it's consciously moving up and over. You know, that's what hip hop is. You know what I mean? So Tupac had a quote that I really appreciate. He said, "A dead people need a lifestyle." A dead people need a lifestyle, right? So when you talk about business and marketing and things of that nature, you connect with, you move people, right, with something livable. You know, even if it's like, you know, the worst example of thug life, right? The reason why that is able to take life, right, is because it's particular things that you can actually do, right? It's like Hennessy, it's, you know what I mean, it's Dutch Master, whatever it is, it's khakis, you can cuff the bottom, you know what I mean? It's this particular thing, you know, this is a lifestyle, it's a culture that you can practice, right? So when we think in business minded, when we think about marketing, we say, well, what does this lifestyle look like? How can people live whatever I'm either sharing or selling or producing or whatever? What lifestyle does it connect with, right? What does that look like? And I think that's missing sometimes when we just put your business hat on. we forget that what makes things connect with people is that they can live it. You know, they can actually live it. So whatever you want, nail shop, whatever, you know, you gotta make a pink trap house to get the salon profit. You know what I mean? But, you know, I'm messing with you, but, you know, just, but it's something that creates magnetism that people can actually do. And if you don't, and check this out, we don't lose, the people who win the war is not the people who are right. Right? It's the people who are most organized and the most effective with what they believe. Now, that might step on some toe, whatever, but that's the facts of history. Because we know what's right, been catching hell for a long time. You know what I mean? But it's the people who are most organized and most effective with what they believe. That's who's going to be on top.
All right, yes, ma'am, in the back.
Appreciate that question. Yeah, we still communicate. I actually visited him maybe a few months ago. He's out there in California in a place called Victorville, which is, if you know anything about prisons, they say it's one of the worst prisons in the United States. But that's where he's at right now. So we communicate through letter. He can email, we communicate via email, so he's able to get like articles and stuff like that. He'll ask for articles and stuff that, you know, he heard about. As far as this campaign is concerned, I'm not sure. He was supposed to be released last year. He had a release date set for last year. And for no, I guess, good reason. They gave a reason, but for no reason. They pretty much held him beyond the release date and he's still being held. The reasons that they gave was, like one of the reasons, for instance, was the way that he signs his letter. Stiff resistance. And he sometimes, like at the end of his letter, he'll write stiff resistance, or he'll write straight ahead at the end of the letter. And they were saying that that was an example of him still, you know, holding on to certain beliefs, which they felt like meant that he wasn't rehabilitated. So, right, when you talk about political prisoners, right, you know what a political prisoner is? That's a person that's in jail for their political beliefs. With that, and you know, the United States says they don't have any political prisoners. Well, the reason that the parole board gave him for not being released was for his political beliefs. He said straight ahead, or they're saying that, well, since you still hold on to these beliefs, right? So he's quite literally at this point on paper a political prisoner. And that, you know, he has another parole hearing coming up in April. And so we'll go through this whole process again. Right now, I think last time I checked, we had like 25,000 names on the petition. And so from there, that was based on the last hearing or whatnot. So from there, we still have those names. We're trying to get those up to 100,000 by, you know, at the least by next April. Yeah, we got a video that we shot in front of the USP jail for that campaign that we was doing last year. It's called Worldwide. And it's a video that we did right in front of the jail that he was in for about 15 years. And, you know, those are the kind of things that we're doing, just kind of making sure that his name is out there. I would encourage everybody to go see the Tupac movie or tell somebody to go see it because he has a part in there. And so, you know, if you think about that movie being a worldwide release and a political prisoner being portrayed in that movie, it could be an educational piece for, you know, if you want to let people know about Matulu Shakur or, you know, or anything else. So, yeah.
Yes, sir, in the back.
Charlotte, North Carolina, and we went to a museum. I think it was called like the New South Museum. And on the ground floor, it was kind of your typical like African American. You got to see like how slaves lived, and you like experience picking cotton and all that, like good jazz. But what was new to me was upstairs. There was kind of like more modern day depiction. So you got to see like kind of the Charlotte riots and what happened just a few months ago. And these vivid images on the wall, just a beautiful depiction on what happens currently. I guess in my head, I kind of thought that these images don't get out. As I saw it on the wall, and honestly, I saw like white people walking through this museum and seeing these images. It kind of occurred at me like these things happen in real life and people see. And I guess my biggest question is, you got a lot of young people in here, as you sure you got like some young men that want to start hip hop industry, some young ladies that want to go out and start clothing, like black girl magic and stuff. And for young people, I just want to know, like, I hope this question isn't too general, anybody can answer it. But where do you guys see the black movement going? And how can we help to kind of move this process, this kind of movement forward? We kind of see all the information getting out there. But what's the hardcore, like, boots on the ground movement that we need to kind of push black people in general as a movement?
Well, I personally think, and you're so articulate. You're a high school student?
No, I'm a second year college.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, he's amazing. This dude is amazing. Okay, but who is his teacher? But I think that's a very, like, what am I trying to say? You can ask that question and get 1,000 different answers for that. You know what I mean? I'm going to stick to this though. I think at the cornerstone of every nation is nationhood, and nationhood is based off of land. I think if there was one thing that our community has never really had is our own piece of land. Okay, and so that would be my thing, that the black nation, the black movement. Okay, double duty. This is the child. No. Okay. All right. So my biggest thing is the land. We don't have land. And when you don't have land, you can't build things. You can't build institutions. So one of the things that you see, like if you go to museums, especially in terms of black history, there are moments when we had like the Black Wall Streets, and we had these wonderful like empires, if you will, of black success and black nationhood. Unfortunately, we don't have that anymore. And the foundation for that is land. It's the basis of land, okay? So I personally do think that more people have to consolidate resources. So for instance, we have a comrade in Jackson, Mississippi, who was just elected mayor of Jackson. Chokwe Antar Lumumba is his name. He's a member of our organization. His father was mayor just previous. But the point is that freedom is something that you create, and then you fight to protect it, okay? So you don't necessarily go out and say, hey, give me education, give me education. No, you go make education. You go get education. You build schools. You build whatever it is, resources. You gather resources so that you can educate yourself. And then if somebody tries to stop you from doing that, or tries to impose their ideas on what education should look like on you, then you fight against that, okay? But for me, it's always been a very clear need for land. Just give me mine, you know, and let me live. You know, give me my food and let me grow, okay? And then from there, you know, folks have their variety of what is what's important to them. So Stic might focus on health and wellness. That is his revolutionary work. My revolutionary work might be literally encouraging people to move back to the South or to buy land in the South. You know, there's different levels of it. There's different lanes, if you will, also, right? Having culture. That's a part of our music. That's a part of our religion. That's a part of all of that. All of that is something that we could create once we have kind of our own identity. Okay, once we have a central something, you know. So, and I don't want to be redundant, but I guess that's the one thing that we all need to agree on. Whatever it is that we're doing, politically, business, marketing, music, whatever, we all need to be able to agree on one thing, and that one thing might be that we are a people. Now we can label ourselves, and we can call ourselves African. We can call ourselves whatever we want to call ourselves. But we need to identify that we are something. We exist as an identity, as a collective, as an important body that has a national identity, that has colors that belong to us, that have songs that belong to us, that has a history that belongs to us.
Yes, sir. Right here.
So this question is for the whole panel. But so specifically, Stic, I know Get Free kind of had a certain connotation and inspired a certain movement. But you also were educating a lot of youth and adults about certain issues that never get spoken about in schools or even in universities. But you also, like Zayd said, you started a movement and you also started a subculture. And like artists today, like Kendrick, you see him dropping political messages and then actually applying, like building a school in Compton. You see J. Cole, you know, spreading the message but then applying it and helping out his hometown. We see Lupe Fiasco start a foundation and start political movement. So can you speak on kind of the responsibility? Because, I mean, even back when Charles Barkley was saying that he wasn't a role model, people always understand whether they deny it or not, that they have a responsibility as a public figure, whether you're an artist, musician, athlete, whatever. Can you speak on that responsibility to kind of connect your message or your appeal to your audience and actually having civic engagement, like civic responsibility to where you come from, advancing people outside of just like the situation. Even Tupac, he talked about, you know, the streets and being a thug, but he also had a political message that was trying to push people out of that environment, trying to be destructive. You gotta speak on that responsibility.
I'm not black, I'm OJ. Okay. Yeah, man. You said it. You know, but responsibility is something that you grow into, right? Responsibility, able to respond, you know, is a process. You know what I mean? And like, you know, in certain African culture, like you don't even get the mic till you 40. You know what I mean? But in this paradigm, you know what I mean, everybody can say whatever, however, whenever. You know what I mean? And it was the griots and the storytellers and the speakers used to have a certain amount of service that has already been rendered, you know, which gives them experience and wisdom that commands respect when they speak. You know what I mean? This was how we established, you know, our culture, you know, around the speakers. You know what I mean? And today, you know, it's a lot different. You know what I mean? You feel like you can say whatever you want to say. Young artists disrespect the old school, or, you know, all kind of, and old school disrespect the young. You know what I mean? But responsibility is something that has to sprout, bloom in you as a human being. You know what I mean? Like you could front, like they say, you know, you front for me, but you know, do you care? You know what I mean? Do you even care about what you're talking about? You know, do you even care about what's actually going on within you and around you? And so I don't say that lightly. I don't just tell people, be responsible, say something positive. You know what I mean? To me, that's so empty and light. You know what I mean? But it's like, get to know yourself, get to know your heart, right? What matters to you, what do you really value, and how do that show up in your everyday? You know what I mean? It would be nothing for you to add that to your art. You know what I mean? If it really matters to you. In fact, you can't help it. You know what I mean? You can't help it. But on the flip side, I also think that too many people choose, quote unquote, speaking as the main fight. You know what I mean? Like all my thoughts, everything I'm against, everything I want to resist, I'm going to put it out here and say it all out here, right? No strategy, no consideration of where I want to end up. I'm just going to let my heart speak all over the beat. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of artists who have more wisdom than that. You know, there's a lot of artists who are choosing not to say certain things that they know to get in position, right? And to use this culture of hip-hop, this industry of hip-hop in a different way. So you can't, like Zayd would say, you can't always say, oh, Gucci Man, and judge a book by their cover, so to speak. Because different people have different strategies. And we see that when you speak up before you war ready, you know what I mean? A lot of times it's like, you know what I mean? So sometimes you gotta be the slave in the house with putting some cyanide with the hot salt and Master Greens. You know what I mean? And you can't step on a tiger tail with disrespect, right? If you know that's a tiger. You gotta, how would you approach a tiger? You want to be, I'm finna come get you, tiger. You wouldn't be saying that. You know what I mean? You have to really respect the dangerousness of what that is to get up close to them. You feel me? So that's consciousness too. You know what I mean? In fact, that's more deadly. Bad boys really move in silence. So I don't think we need to try to send a message of everybody at the top of your lungs yelling out all your information and all your consciousness. You know, figure out what the end result is and be a martial artist in the way you approach it.
All right. Yes, sir.
So even saying that, one of the things that kind of came to mind is even in our use of social media, especially as people who are conscious or what have you, can you talk a little bit about strategy in the use of social media when we talk about planning and organizing, especially in the community?
Well, I do a lot of community activism, and social media absolutely is a tool. Z always has to give me parameters, though, in terms of what are the rules, though. I still don't know the rules, the social media rules, you know. Too many likes means I like you, like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But I do think that the wonderful thing, and this kind of goes back to the question about making your music palatable to young people. One of the good things that the industry has now transformed into is that music is available. It's up to you if you want to go get it. You know what I mean? And so in that sense, social media is a wonderful tool. So the person who wouldn't have a voice now has a platform, a whole community, you know. What am I trying to say? Use it as a tool. Use it. I'm really speaking to the young people. Use it as a tool. It's not something to take lightly. Because if you really do put yourself out there, somebody might be listening. Y'all feel what I'm saying? Somebody really might be watching the pic or looking at the video, okay? And that could go either way. It could go for you or it could go against you. But in terms of new age, young folks wanting to come into the game, my thing now is what I really like with Chance the Rapper, put your music all on social media and make it free. Give it away. Make your profit some other kind of way. Make your profit off of the performance, off of the merchandise, off of something more creative. But I would say the social media has changed the game so that nobody has to feel like they don't have someone to listen, someone to hear them, okay? Now there's somebody out there that's listening. Okay? Yeah, so that comes with a little bit of responsibility. You know, it comes with a little bit of responsibility.
Right, yes, sir?
Let's go to Stic, and I guess either it's a saying. If you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be 10-1. So, to you all, what can we do for myself, even everybody else? What suggestions would you all give not to be that 10th person, politically, revolutionary, or however?
I think you got to balance, your crowd. One thing I try to do anyway, and I ain't perfect at it, but I try to spend a balanced amount of time with people I consider, like, say for instance, my field, right? Hip hop artists, folks I consider on the come up, trying to get to where I am. People in the same place as me, you know what I mean? I spend some time with them and then spend some time with people that, are more advanced than me and in another place than me. And I think that way, you can get a good idea of where you are. You never feel like, spending time with people that are on the come up, right? That gives you that level of, okay, I see where I came from. Gives you that level of inspiring somebody, which is always good, you know what I mean? Give you a little confidence. But then people on your level, you don't want to spend too much time with people that are not with you, because then you're always draining yourself, maybe trying to pull them up to where you at. But at the same token, somebody on your level, right? That's good. We building together, but then you start to get complacent, like, okay, I'm good, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we both on the same level, I'm good. You don't got nothing pushing you. But then somebody that's a little more advanced than you, that's where you aspire to be. So you get a game from them on where you want to go, but you don't want to spend too much time with them too, because you get the feeling like, damn, I'll never get there, or damn, I'll always, you know what I mean? So it's important to be around people, just all kinds of people, especially in your field on different levels, just so you never become that, you always will be that 10th person on the good side, right? Like I said, if you hang around too many people that are beneath you, so to speak, then you'll be that 5th person, just like them. You'll be dragged down. Too many people on your level, you'll never advance. Too many people above your level, you know what I mean? You'll never, respect yourself and see where you really at. So.
Also, too, there's another saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I think we our judgments, man, is the prison. You know what I mean? It's right here. Like, and I know it's cliche, and I know we live in a real world, you know, but I really do think that how we perceive everything, right, is the key. You know, it's the key to opportunity. It's the key to a breakthrough. It's the key to freedom, right? But when we don't realize that we holding tight on the bars, you know what I'm saying? We don't even think to check, just open the door, push the door. You know what I mean? So for me, like there's another quote that I love that says, there are no others. You know? There are no others. You know, it's us. And if all of us broke, all of us fucking up. You know what I mean? It's about what are our intentions, right? And how open are we to how that can manifest, right? So if I say, for example, if everybody used Tyson, I use a lot of martial art analogies, so pardon me, but if everybody uses Tyson's way of fighting, right? How effective is everybody gonna be? You know, Tyson, that works for Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you go into every round, every fight with the same thing, I'm gonna hit you low, I'm gonna hit you high. You know what I mean? If that's what you do, like how effective is that gonna be? Why is Mayweather 49-0, right? Because every time he go in the ring, he don't care what nobody think about how he gonna win this fight. He care about winning this fight. So he adapts his style to the situation, you know? And that takes, people say he's full of ego, and I'm talking about Mayweather for a reason. They say he's full of ego, but it takes the complete humility to lose your ego to adapt to what's in front of you, right? So say what you say about his conduct outside the ring, but in the ring, he has mastered flexibility. Right, and that's why he's undefeated. You know, and in our community, if we could learn from the martial arts in those kind of ways, those are principles. Fighting is fighting, right? Fighting is fighting. You just fighting in different ways, but the principles is the same. You know, are we going into our fight ready to adapt? Are we making our left and our right strong? Is our footwork on point, you know? Or are we just going in there with the right hand ball up every time, just swing? You know what I mean? And as a community, I think that's what the brothers asking, where's the movement going, is understanding that we have to be flexible in how we get to our objective. You know what I mean? And the people that we are around, those 9 broke folks, are rich. Because if you look at perspective-wise, they are rich in something. You know what I mean? We all rich in something. We are not broke. We are not poor people, right? Finances is one form of resource, right? We got billions of other resources in us at every moment. And if we ever think we poor, then that's poor.
All right. One closing remark as we end this session.
I want to address the question that the brother was asking. Like Zayd said, it's about a balance. It's about a balance of, it's like food. You know what I'm saying? The food you eat is for optimum health. It's a balance with it. And okay, for instance, take a little deeper. We all light energies in here. Okay, we look at it from the standpoint of light. When you turn on the light, what's attracted to the light? The moths or whatever. So my thing is, when you examining your company, you examining the circle that's around you, the first examination needs to be with self. You need to examine what's going on with you, because you're only attracting a lot of what you're putting out. And a lot of people are what you call, let's just say for lack of a better word, vultures, or they're vampires. Some people are attracted to your light, or they're attracted to what you know, what it is that you can offer on so many levels. So the brother right there spoke earlier about where do you see black people going. I didn't really want to get into it, but I'm going to touch a little bit. there's an African proverb that said, lack of knowledge is darker than night. And we dealing in some very abysmal times right now as far as the light aspect and the darkness. And then with you, there's another proverb that says 1 plus God equals the majority. You got to be comfortable with standing in self, standing in your own shoes before any circle comes around you. You got to be comfortable with yourself. Because if it's just you and your Most High, then there's no number that can even outnumber that. So my thing is, as far as this generation and as far as where it's at, we come from a different time, but it's all relative. You have to really, man, there's so many vices set up in front of you that's keeping you from your true self, that's keeping you distracted. The biggest thing is distraction and deception. You got to sometimes put down the social media, even though it's a great platform to voice your opinion. Everybody don't have a voice that needs to be. Everybody's opinion don't need to be voiced all the time. Some people ain't even in position. You ain't even at that rank. I can't call myself a general if I'm just a soldier. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get yourself to that place. The sister say she just got admitted into UCLA for a PhD. She couldn't do that 3 years ago because she was still in undergrad. Am I correct? So it's a situation where you got to get to that place. And we need to take time to ourselves. And I know it's I could say this to you, I could spew these words to you, but it really starts with how you was nurtured. It starts at what's been inculcated in you since a youth and what's been put into you. Unfortunately, a lot of our generation or the newer generation, y'all disconnected from that. You have to get back to wanting to learn that. You have to get back to that, and that's going to come with, I'll say, understanding assimilation, understanding integration, understanding that your coffee is a little better without all that cream in it. Understanding you don't need all that sugar in it. Understand? I don't really want to go too deep into it, but it's that real, it's that serious. And if we don't take it to be that serious, then we're going to keep playing this game, we're going to keep having these panels, or how can we do such and such? You know, it starts with the face of them. You are that leader. You are that change, to piggyback off what it said. If you want that, you are that. You want that revolution, you the revolution. And if you don't understand that point, then you're going to continue to be lost. You're going to continue to be the 40 people that like Moses had the people with it 40 years, they're just wandering. We passed that point. And that 40 put another zero, that's the 400 years plus that we already been wandering, doing our thing. So you got to get to a place where it is that you got to embrace that change. If you like Kendrick, embrace that change, but take it deeper than take it further than what Kendrick take it. Take it further than what J. Cole take it. You have to get back to that. And I don't want to expound and stand on the soapbox too much, but I just wanted to really just say that. Just say that right now.
I'll just say thank y'all, man. RBGFitClub.com is our link online, and we anything holistic wellness. You know, we try to be a platform for that. Keep it hood and keep it fun.
Yeah, man, I'll echo that. I'll say thank you, man. Thanks for having us. Thanks for the opportunity. Doc, yeah, definitely. Follow me on Instagram if y'all on Instagram. Outlaw RBG, OUTLAW RBG. I appreciate that. Stay in tune with the movement. Got a new mixtape out called All Eyes on Me. It's a mixtape featuring actors and extras from the new Tupac biopic, biopic, however you say that word. So yeah, man, shop with me if you want to get some good music. It's featuring a lot of the folks, you know what I'm saying, for the movie. So I got some of those on deck. Make sure you follow me on Instagram so I can stay in contact with all y'all. I love to keep up with all y'all, see how y'all doing, and just stay in contact with me so we can, just chop it up so we can go back and forth on the timeline, something like that. Yeah, man, Zayd, Malik, Outlaw RBG, that's what it is. Appreciate y'all. Salute.
All right, y'all, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate your time and your energy, your questions. Hopefully y'all can actually take some of this information and share it with someone. That would be my biggest request today, is if you haven't, I'm hoping that you took something. I'm hoping that you took something, right? I think that's fair to say that we got a little something we can give to somebody else. So that's my thing. Whatever you learn today, just take it and share it with somebody. And don't be scared to be an African, okay? All right, well, follow me. IFEJIE. All right.
Yes. And so it's some websites. I tried to pull them up. I know most of your Bandcamp sites, so.
Yeah.
As you were talking, I was trying to put some more information on there, so hopefully I have it all right. We have one performance, and then we're going to end our day. We have one performance from Fly Music. And we're going to have Mr. Dingo to introduce her. She's an artist from his organization, Music Makes Me Happy.
All right.
All right, let's give another round of applause to these panelists to my left. Thank you so much again for being here. I'm personally excited. I was actually on the panel right before them, and super inspired to be here at GSU to see all of your faces today. I was going to say tonight. But my name is Josh Dingo. I'm the executive director of a national movement, a nonprofit called Music Makes Me Happy. It's a community of 15,000 young people, artists, activists who use their music and use their art to inspire social change. We're based in Philly, Atlanta, and Los Angeles, and next year we're going to Paris to promote this notion or this movement that we should use our art not just as entertainment, but to make a difference, right? Today I brought in artist from Music Makes Me Happy to perform a few songs. Her name is Fly Music, born here in ATL. Who's here from ATL? One person, that's what I'm talking about. Most of you guys came from where? South Carolina? Right, all right, cool. So Fly Music is a multi-talented Atlanta native whose gifts have led her to writing, speaking, and making soulful music with a powerful message. She was born with the name Sierra Reed, now Sierra Bobo. She was raised in a home that has cultivated her musical growth as an artist. Since the age of 5. She has a plethora of musical genres that influence her art, which all grant her the ability to transition gracefully between hip hop and soul, creating a sound that is uniquely Fly. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together right now for Fly Music.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Good. Let me check the room. How many college students we have in the room right now? What's up? Y'all Georgia State?
No, we did USC.
USC? Okay. All right. How many high school students do we have in the room right now? No. What grades? We got any class in 2018? Yeah. I see you. What about 2019? Yeah. Okay. Any sophomores 2020? Sophomores? Any freshmen 2021? Oh, y'all left the freshmen back at home? All right. Dope. I'm excited to be here today. Shout out to Music Makes Me Happy. Shout out to the panel, man. I was back there listening to them. I go by the name of Fly Music with a Q. So excited. I am from Atlanta. I know it's rare being in Atlanta, being in ATL. It's really rare nowadays, but I love the growth that our city has seen in the last decade or so. But I am a hip hop artist, and I want to say a couple things before I get started. And I'm gonna perform about 2 songs. But one thing about hip hop that I love, and I love what they said earlier, especially what you said about how hip hop is us. It's a culture, it's a spirit, it's everything. And what I loved about hip hop is that it gives me the opportunity to not only be myself, but to also talk about things that are important to me and things that I see in my community. And so one of the things that is really, really, really important to me in Atlanta is the growth of our young girls. And being a young lady myself, I'm real big on that, growing up on the south side of Atlanta, College Park to be exact, knowing that Atlanta is the #1 city for sex trafficking in America, that's a problem for me. And so I use my ability to rhyme to talk about that. And not only that, I started a nonprofit for girls called Fly Life here in the city of Atlanta, where we reach hundreds of girls across the city and empowering them to be fly inside out, because the thing about it is, it starts with you and it starts with who you are on the inside and as well as who you are on the outside. one of the biggest lies I think a young lady could ever hear is that, you know, your outside isn't important. The only thing that's important is the inside, and that's not true. You know, I'm a firm believer in God, and I feel like if he only cared about our inside, he wouldn't have created our outside. And so for me, I think it's living inside out. It's not putting more importance on your outside, but at the same time understanding to embrace your tailored design. And if I think if we embrace how we look more, I can look at you and tell you that you're beautiful, and that you're fly, and I can look at you and tell you that you're beautiful and you're fly, I think the world would be doper as women. And so that's one part of my movement, and I use music to do that. But first, the first song I'm gonna do, does anybody in the room have any haters? Why the room got so loud? Alright? Anybody know any fake people? A lot of them, you know, a lot of fake people. So that's what's up. So listen. So this first song I'm gonna do, at the time and my music, I haven't actually released anything lately in the last 2 years. I haven't released anything since 2015 because I really been busy with my nonprofit. But it was a point in time when I wanted to do music, I had a lot of naysayers around me saying that I couldn't do it, I couldn't rap, I couldn't do anything like that. And so I believe the power of speaking words into existence and speaking things into existence through words. And so I came up with this song and I was like, you know what? I'm going to speak that I can do it 1,000,000 times. I'm not going to worry about what you say about me. I'm going to say what I can be 1,000,000 times. And I believe if I spoke it enough, I would actually live it and see it. And so that's what this song is about. So I need everybody to say 1,000,000 times. 1,000,000 times. When I point to y'all, I need y'all to say it. Say 1,000,000 times. 1,000,000 times. All right, cool. Ego hates us, doubts us. Say what you want, I'm going to win. Trap in the wind, I'm never losing. This that real trap music. Play me, yeah, my strings acoustic. It's tight, go ahead and lose it. Rather than me calling me bipolar haters, cause they don't know what to do of me. They sweating, Sana, I'm durable. Honda, Oscar worthy, will wonder. See, Era the Fly, Jamie Wonder. Different animal, same me. Bottom line is I murk beats. I ride tracks like wet streets. Hydroplane, leave my feet. Cause Tuesday's my Tuesday. So every day, fly music day. Wednesday, that windy day. When money blowing my way, I say what I have. And I have what I say. Cause I'm winning 1,000,000,000. I told you 1,000,000 times. Taking off like a jet, I must be fly. Lace spikes like Jordan, I ain't never gotta lie. Hey, they said I wasn't gonna make it, told you 1,000,000 times. Never losing, yeah, I told you 1,000,000 times. Fly as you can be, I told you 1,000,000 times. I said 1,000,000 times. I said 1,000,000 times. Winning who I be, I told you 1,000,000 times. I'm never chasing paper, told you 1,000,000 times. Because money chasing me, I told you 1,000,000 times. I said 1,000,000 times. I said 1,000,000 times. Hey, introduction, I go hand like luncheon. Start of all production. New currency, not Russian. I'm timeless, no rushing. My old rhythm percussion. I hear all that chatter. I'm Parmesan, no fussing. What's drama to an actress? Can't outclass this outcast like on my toes. I think fast, make weather rounds. I do last. I roll up and lace them with beef pills. I'm drug free, but still dope. That's how your ears feel. Cause Tuesday's my Tuesday, so every day fly music day. Wednesday, that windy day when money blowing. I say what I have, and I have what I say. Cause I'm winning 1,000,000,000. I told you 1,000,000. It's y'all part right here. Yo, they said you wasn't gonna make it, tell them 1,000,000 times. Never losing, yeah, I told you 1,000,000 times. You fly as you can be, I told you 1,000,000 times. I said 1,000,000 times. I said 1,000,000 times. Winning who you be, I told you 1,000,000 times. I'm never chasing paper, told you 1,000,000 times. Because that money chasing me, I told you 1,000,000 times. I said 1,000,000 times. I said 1,000,000 times. I'm a college boy representative, told you 1,000,000 times. Hey, I eat your bars for dinner, told you 1,000,000 times. I ride 2-1 center, told you 1,000,000 times. I said 1,000,000 times. I said 1,000,000. Hey, y'all make some noise one time. Y'all so dope, y'all so dope. Was that all right? Was that all right? That was good. That's what's up. That's what's up. Hey man, I'm about to, while they get cue up the next song, I just want to encourage you, man. When you have naysayers around you, you got to speak back into the atmosphere, the positive things, you know what I mean, that you want to see about yourself. And so this next song is about basically telling young girls to shake off the residue from dealing with sex trafficking or molestation or abuse and things like that. Let's turn it up a little bit. Hey, it's time for the queens come back from the big house to the trap. Money don't mean nothing, you work more than them stacks for a couple racks. Can't be bought a soul. Start aiming for your goals. Stop searching for that goal. Don't wanna lose your soul. This just not checkers, you can't double decker. Don't be easy type, powerful in purpose. Get your mind right. Wake up, better get up from what you going through. Let your past go. Shake out that residue. Everybody do this. Hey, now we on that no more residue. Being fly all the time is what I do. We turn it up, shaking off that residue because I got my team with it. We don't want no problems, we just trying to get to it. Now we on that no more residue. Being fly all the time is what I do. We turn it up, shake. They say protect your body, but what about your hope? When your heart been broke so many times that you don't know how to cope. Seeking sexual highs, they go up and down just like you smoking dope. Going to the doctor for the doctors and praying that he say no. The daily stress of compromising your royalty. Your body is the temple, girl, you walk with your loyalty. Men treat you like you let them, cause you let them. Love yourself, you were the queen before you let them, cause I got my team with that. We don't want no problems, we just trying to get. Now we on that no more residue. Being fly all the time is what I do. We turn it up, shaking off that residue because I got my team with that. We don't want no problems, we just trying to get. Now we on that no more residue. Being fly all the time is what I do. We turn it up, shaking off that residue. Go, go. Can y'all sing? Anybody here can sing? I need y'all to sing this part right here. Can y'all sing? Oh, can y'all sing? Oh, all I need y'all to say, oh. Trying to get to it. Now we on that no more residue. Being fly all the time is what I do. We turn it up. I see y'all in the back. Got my team with it. We don't want no problems. We just trying to get to it. Now we on that no more residue. Being fly all the time is what I do. We turn it up, shaking out that residue. Thank y'all so much. I got my
again. Let's hear what round of applause. This has been an awesome 2 days. We received a lot of information. Day one, we talked about hip hop and how we can use it as far as educating in academia. We talked about Atlanta politics and Atlanta rap specifically. We had a number of scholars today. We continue to look at the political aspects of hip-hop and how we're using it to fight against social justice. And we ended with a panel of artists talking about how they're using their music as activism, and then a final performance where we actually saw it being displayed, where we saw an artist using her music, using her lyrics to fight against social injustices. So this has been a wonderful 2-day panel. I thank you all for coming out. I thank my panelists. I thank everyone for their help, my students for their volunteers. Event at Georgia State University, but we will not let this be the last event. Right. We need to show Georgia State University that hip-hop is important and hip-hop needs to be involved as part of the university here at Georgia State. I thank you all. Thank you. Be safe on your trip back. My best friend for bringing in the audience. Appreciate that. Right? Have a safe trip back to South Carolina, and lunch is on your own, so if you want to go to lunch, you definitely